and welcome to our today's webinar around single stock view. Just some logistics in the beginning. This presentation will be recorded. It's available after the webinar at our website detego.com, where you find all our webinars. If there are questions in between, we're very happy to receive questions. There's a chat function here in GoToWebinar. We're taking these questions and we are answering all of them at the end. My name is Uwe Hennig, and what we have prepared for you for today is let's do a reality check in the beginning. So we talk around inventory management and stock. What is the objective of a single stock view? How could we get there, and what does it mean in terms of change? So exciting times where we as retailer are all in. The consumer has completely changed, and the consumer is changing again. What we all know, the future of retail today is more than that people checking online the price. They begin the whole purchase online before. You've seen all the technologies that has arrived in the last months and maybe 2 years. We talk around connected home devices, streaming services for TV and music, voice ordering, virtual reality. So in fact, we talk about a complete connected consumer. We talk around a complete connected commerce. So the consumer demand is changing, and it's very much around on services and experience. And I think we all agree, because we are also all shoppers and consumers, there is a big need for an infrastructure that is consumer or customer centric. And this is very, very important, because customers can be easily disappointed, and then they're switching completely the brand. Let's look a little bit in the details of the connected consumer. Just the penetration of smartphones has arrived. If you just look on the North America, if you look on Germany or the UK, 75, 78, 71% of people using smartphones. So that means these people are always on, they're always online, and almost 70% of consumers using things like streaming services, and even these, let's say, quite new devices like an Amazon Echo is already in 24% of consumers' home, and 20% more thinking about to purchase one of these devices. So, I mean, this is a dramatic change. We all know that this is happening. I think this is really, really exciting. 84% of all consumers in the world have made a purchase on Amazon during the last year. 65% using mobile shopping applications on their smartphones. And very, very interesting, we think, is that 2/3, 68% of shoppers feeling better, have a better shopping experience if they can check the availability of stuff they want to purchase up front. And this is what it's all about. It's a single stock view, is item availability and online checking. I think quite shocking is that most of the retailers haven't changed the way they operate in their supply chain and in their in-store environment. I mean, most of the retailers do not even offer a kind of in-store application, either on a tablet PC somewhere in the store, or at least on a mobile in the hand of a store assistant, that people can make a direct purchase. Although the customer is always on, sometimes when we're going to a retail store, we're feeling like we are back in the 70s. Not even half of retailers, and I think this is also shocking, having visibility across all their channels. And if you look on this word omni-channel, very many retailers, when they talk omni-channel, they talk about all their online channels, their own website, the Amazons and the Zalandos of the world. But consumers expecting that the real stores are part of the omni-channel picture. And what this study, and it's quite new, it's from RSR Research, is telling that more than 73% of the non-health sales is not happening because the consumer doesn't like the product, or is unhappy with the price, or maybe with the delivery options. No, 73% of the purchase is not happening because the item is not available, or at least the information, where is this item, where can I buy it, when can I buy it, is not available. And this is because of the IT landscape is not able to put the consumer in the middle and delivering one thing to the consumer that is always on. He wants an answer to where is this item, when can I purchase it? So customer expectations is all around real time. And if you Google something in the internet, Google is providing you always the information, this answer was provided in 0.02 seconds or whatever. But so this is the expectation that customers having when they're entering a retail store. But most of the retailers can't give the answer in a short time, or sometimes they're disappearing in the back room because store associates not even having a mobile and are not online and cannot look into all the other channels. But this is the expectation of the customer. And customers expecting the information they are receiving is accurate and it must be reliable. I think we're all agreeing to that. This is extremely important because consumers sharing feedback via social media, and they do it in a second, and they're sharing positive feedback, but unfortunately they're also sharing negative feedback. So today customer experience is around three things. It is around real time, it is around transparency, and it's around convenience. I mean, it's clear that there is a fundamental breakdown between what retailers are focused on and what consumers care about most. Shaped by this always-on experience, shoppers today expect a superb customer experience across all potential shopping locations. We're coming to that also in a second. This is challenging for most retailers. The most complaints from shoppers is around friction between the channel. So look on this graph here, 2/3 of a purchase. So when customers starting, they're discovering, they're browsing, 2/3 starting online. People using their smartphone in the evening, sitting at home using a tablet PC and looking maybe for a new winter jacket, whatever. This is where most of the customer journey is starting. But if you then look where the real purchase is happening in fashion retail, a very, very big portion, 88 to 91% of the real revenue is delivered through a physical store, because shoppers still like to go to stores to touch the garments, to put it on, take it to the fitting room, see the color of the garments in real light, and want to play around it, maybe want to combine it. This is why people go to store. So it's quite shocking that when we are getting consumers coming to our stores, why don't we deliver the best in class service to them? And what does it take to do this? On this slide, it looks very, very easy, but it's not. We know this. But at the end of the day, the customer's expectation is we say yes to him at any time in any location. And he only has one question. I want to purchase this. Do you have it? If you don't have it, when can I buy it and where can I buy it? So saying yes to the customer must be the big objective of putting new projects, new systems, new infrastructure in place. Saying yes to the customer is the fundament for this is item availability. And for that, we need to understand what we have and where it is. I mean, this is really, really basic, but it's so important, saying yes to the customer. And the first difficulty we see here is you meet the customer in online channels. This is your own website, your own web store, but it can be also the Amazon, the Zalando. So this is where you may want to say yes to the customer and you promise him an item availability. Then you're running your own chain, you're running your stores, your own operated stores. Many fashion retailers running partner business with franchise stores, with concessions. There are department stores. So there are many locations where you can meet your customer, and the customer is always coming to you with the same question. And items are in supply chains, they are in distribution centers, they are in warehouses. So as a retailer, I need to know to give this commitment from all the locations in real time on item level. Where is this item? So the roadmap to implement these customer satisfying solution is starting with RFID tagged items. And RFID is nothing new. We all know this. And there was a big hype years ago. and then maybe the technology in many retailers had disappeared, and maybe still people thinking, this RFID, is this really working? We see a very, very large growth in deploying RFID systems into fashion retail, because RFID is the only available technology. It's proven that it's working. It's very, very powerful. The tagging costs are very, very low because of the high adoption rates in the last years. And it's the only technology that is offering a full automatic reading when items are moving in locations. And in a location in a store, for example, can be an item is moving from the back room to the front room, what most of the existing IT systems are not tracking, but it's quite important that items are in front of the customer and not hidden in the back room. And RFID is used and can be used to also track items when they are moving between locations. So when items leaving a distribution center on the way to the store, when items are transported between stores, when you're calling back a collection because a season is closing and you're tracking back items from the store back to the distribution center, all these things happening. And every time we are not tracking an item and updating our IT system about this movement, we are creating an inaccuracy in our backend systems. So a consumer is asking, do you have this item? We are looking on this wrong data, committing to the consumer. The item is already in a different place, but we haven't tracked it. So we are committing, but we can't deliver on this commitment. So the roadmap for a single stock view, very basic, is RFID tagged items to track every movement of the items between and in location. This delivers a very high accuracy in the backend systems about the item availability. And this is, again, the fundament, the base to build very efficient processes and the foundation for omnichannel, but also to please the customer. And this information then need to be provided to all IT systems that are involved in the purchase. And there are different systems in place. And let's be honest, all these systems have been implemented most of the time for reporting processes. So the ERP system, the point of sale systems, the supply chain systems. In the meantime, OMS, order management system, has arrived so to track the e-commerce orders. But all these systems need to work on reliable data. So the RFID system need to update all these systems for the purchase in real time to commit to the customer. At the end of the day, the consumer himself can check the availability. The store people can check availability across all locations. Store people need to be empowered with mobile devices to work with the customer, staying in the front of house, staying in the retail store, and give an immediate answer on the availability, and even take immediate an order or do a reservation in another location to please the customer. So this is how we see the roadmap for success. Another picture, how is this RFID working? So typically you do things that is called source tagging. So an RFID label is put in the factory to the garment, and then this enables you to track each garment through the whole supply chain, from the factory to distribution centers, from distribution centers to wholesalers. So you know exactly what has shipped to a wholesaler, what should be in his store, to the franchise store, to your own stores. Maybe there are cross-docking centers involved, there are e-commerce warehouses involved. So all these movements are completely accurate, tracked, and are updating the other involved systems in real time. And this is what we then call the single stock view. So there is one platform that is receiving all these movements and all the data, and is updating all the other systems. And very important, we really see here is that all locations, not only your own stores, but also franchise stores from partners, are involved. At the end of the day, to always say yes to the customer when he's asking the question about the availability of an item. And the platform then itself also delivers applications like a direct reservation from one store to another, a direct purchase. All these things that the consumer is asking are delivered by the platform. So we've seen the reality check, and we are all shoppers, so we know the reality that we are going to stores and asking for the availability of an item, or we ask the question, do you have this also in my size? People disappearing in back rooms or going to the point of sale, going to a computer and coming very often, too often back with the answer, sir or madam, I don't know, and I can't view into the other store, so quite disappointing. So that is the way to change this to please the customer. And you may ask the question, so if people using this single stock view and using such a platform, what are the results these retailers are achieving? And this is real-time, real-life results we have achieved in projects. 98 or 99% accurate data in backend systems. And I see people and I know people now thinking, we have accurate data. We are running SAP or we are running Oracle. There is accurate data. When you really check it, you know that there is an inaccuracy because of, I give you some examples what is happening. A box with 5 shirts is arriving in a store, and the store person is putting it in the back room and is not replenishing on the front side. Somebody else thinks, oh, we have enough of these shirts. My colleague in another store is needing them, takes the box and bring it to another store. So your system is telling you these 5 shirts are in store A, but physically somebody brought it to store B to help a colleague, but he never booked it in the system. Other things happening is that stores are calling, not other stores, but calling the distribution center for replenishing other products. These things are not booked, so you think they are in the distribution center, they're already in another store location. So all this inaccuracy happens because processes are inaccurate, processes are not transparent. With RFID, you are fixing this problem. The projects we have delivered, retailers achieving a data accuracy rate of around 98 to 99% in the backend systems. And this is the foundation then to commit to a customer. And the other thing in the offline business, in the physical store, knowing what you have, knowing what is missing on the shelf, and immediately from the back store to the front of house, you're achieving an on-shelf availability above 90%. The platform is tracking this very important on the shelf can be picked by a consumer very easy. So we're achieving an on-shelf availability of 95 or more percent because you are tracking all inventory across all locations. You know what you have in what chain. You know what is sold in which location. You know what needs to be replenished. You have a forecast, which some people putting sometimes in stores are completely disappearing. Overall, less inventory in stores of around 12 to 15% is what users of the platform are achieving. And we all know this is 12 to 15% less items you need to transport, you need to scan, you need to track, you need to move. At the end of the day, it's less working capital. I think a very, very interesting achievement as well is the last point on this slide, the less administration time for store associates. And we think and we see that this is extremely important in the whole value chain. The salespeople in the store are maybe the most expensive one, but they are also the most important one. They are dealing with the customer. They are dealing with the consumer. They should work with them. And let's be honest, we have hired these people to sell, but then we are misusing them to ask them to do paperwork, to be in back rooms and looking for items, searching stuff, working on PCs. These people love to sell. They are salespeople. And by the way, most of them are receiving a commission on a sale. So let's give them the time to sell and take all the administration away. The platform and automatic RFID reading, mobile RFID reading is moving these people into a complete different position. They can give answers to customers, they can work with them, the answers are correct, they are really happy. So we have achieved that 60% less administration time, a 95% on-shelf availability, the information in the hand of these users is almost 100% accurate, and these are the reason why people using the platform very easy are selling more. So at the end, with the platform, you are connecting all the different businesses. It's an extension of the existing infrastructure, because the infrastructure we are finding now with ERP and POS, that was built for reporting, and it's good for that, but it's not putting the consumer in the middle, what the platform is doing. So here we have a decision base for the purchase really to happen. If the in-store processes is handled by the platform, and because we have all this data now available in one single point of truth, we can analyze all this data. So we know exactly what is going on in the stores. We know exactly the availability of items, if you run a campaign, if a new collection has arrived. So all this real-time data will be used, will be analyzed to provide a decision base for really frictionless omni-channel. This is how we call it. And at the end of the day, this is what the customer was asking us. So that is the idea behind a single stock view. I see we have some questions in the chat. Let me go through the question. There's one question: how will franchisees and own operated retail stores be connected? I think that's a very good one. The idea is not to connect stores like an IT Connect. I mean, we see that these you are running hundreds of stores, all different IT systems. So to develop a middleware and connect all these different infrastructures would be a massive big project. But this is not needed. The beauty in the today world is that real-time data in cloud systems and then open platforms, these things building the bridge between the franchise and the retail store and the concession and the department and the warehouse. So the platform is handling all the data and people receiving the answer from the platform. So independent if this is a brand store or a franchise store. So having one single point of truth is a base for all these parties to work on. So that's the answer to the question. I see there's another one in the chat. 95 and 98% are high targets. Has it been ever achieved? Yes, absolutely. The Tego customers using exactly these KPIs. So we are measuring in the platform things like on-shelf availability and data accuracy. So yes, people receiving this, and this is only possible because of the real-time tracking and the real-time analytics of item availability. That's very clear. So now you have really then a decision base to manage your supply chain, your store, and it's not based on historical data like last year we have done this, so let's do it again, or on gut feeling. And let's be honest, we see still many retail operations are done on historical data and on gut feeling from merchandise planner, store managers, branch managers. I see there's another question. You are talking about automatic reading. What is meant by this? Okay, that's a basic part of the technology. The advantage of RFID is that compared to barcode, you can read without a so-called line of sight, and you can do something what is called bulk reading. So you can read many tags all at once. So if a box has 25 t-shirts, with a read of an RFID reader, you will find all these 25 shirts in the closed box. So you don't need to open it, you don't need to scan the barcode. And what is also changing is in the past you were using RFID handhelds, and it's still a big adoption of handhelds. It's good to do a stock take in a store, but there are also coming now so-called fixed reader. The DTego platform has already been set up with fixed readers from different technology providers. So for example, maybe you want to put a fixed reader across the fitting rooms. So you want to understand what are people bringing to the fitting room, feed this information back into the platform, analyze the behavior of the customer, or you may want to control the transport from the back room to the front room of an item, and that is a very important information with an automatic read by a fixed reader in the ceiling. And you see the technology, the RFID technology is absolutely there. So it's working. The technology vendors have done a fantastic job. The performance is great. the pricing for these RFID tags went dramatically down in the last 2 to 3 years due to the adoption rate of RFID. And the platform now really brings this single stock view that you can utilize the technology to digitize your business and to give answer to customers that the customers are happy. So with this last question, I'm closing this webinar. Thank you very much for your participation. All webinars are recorded and are available on our website, and thank you very much.